I gave you fair warning, beware. I gave you fair warning, beware.
Welcome back to Unapologetically, Candid. It's your man, Damon. Sorry for the brief hiatus that we've had, but there's been a lot of, a big situation kind of happened to me about a month back. But today, with the return, we have probably some of the dopest people I've met in just a very short amount of time. They are some of Atlanta's hot, new, I guess recently new, what, you're going on your second year now?
Second year.
New entrepreneurs and artists in the city. We have Def Media in the building.
Yep.
What's going on?
Hey.
Introduce yourselves.
I'm Terrell, founder of Def Media, and lovely Stephanie over there.
I'm Stephanie Ely with Stephanie Ely Photography.
Yes.
That's fantastic. All right, so we got a pretty full show today. We got a couple news topics. With this show, when it started out, I definitely didn't intend on it being kind of political, and I even wanted to move away from it when I returned. But just when I thought I was out with that, they pulled me back in with this shit.
That's what they want, man.
God, this is crazier shit than the newest season of House of Cards.
Yo.
I'm like, how are they making this up? I don't know what they're going to do next year.
I don't know.
I don't think you can top it. Somebody got to get shot.
I hope we don't have to go to topping it. That would just be a mess. Let's just bring it back down from where we are.
When people get shot, it's usually black people. So
That's the point. Yeah. White people don't generally leave unscathed from these situations. Yes. But this past Tuesday, we had James Comey testify for the Senate Intelligence Committee. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He ain't dropped no major bombs, though, like I thought he was going to do.
I honestly didn't get a chance to tune in. I was on set that day, so I'm interested to hear all of the feedback that's been coming from that.
Well, he was questioning. It seemingly went like he went on there mainly to pretty much clear the air on why he was fired. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, in it, he said on numerous occasions that Mango in Chief, or as I like to call him, Jackass,
that'll work.
Cleared the room with even the Attorney General, the Keebler Elf, to clear out as well. And, he asked them point blank, am I under investigation? Which, at that time, I don't believe he was. But there was also questions that Comey was asked in which he couldn't necessarily say because it's classified materials.
Right.
But they discussed it behind closed doors. Which I'm like, what the fuck was the point of having this shit televised? Because that's the good shit we don't even get to see or know about yet.
They were hyping it up, biggest news since Watergate, this, that, and the other, but they didn't say anything. I heard that he turned his notebook in, though, which is supposed to have all of like a detailed log, right?
Yeah.
What's been going
He took like
on,
meticulous notes and things like that. But watching it was kind of like, it was like the Fire Festival of Senate committee hearings. So, a lot of hype.
Bruh.
Did not stick the landing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Cool.
We say we're all fucked.
I mean, you can get mad about it, and which I am, but I'm trying to stay positive about it and keep elevating ourselves versus worrying about what's going on over there, and just do my part as much as we can as creatives versus being just a voice complaining about it. You got to do something about it, but not let your whole life get wrapped up in it, because ultimately it's a much bigger picture, and a lot more individuals need to come in and step up to kind of help us have like a positive come out of this either way.
Yeah, because having Pence come in when Trump gets impeached is not positive at all. I'm not happy.
He's arguably worse.
Yeah, inarguably.
He's like a racist, homophobic race Bannon.
Yes, he is.
From Johnny Quest.
Yes.
From Johnny Quest.
Yes. Doesn't he?
I believe that, and I mean, I've had this conversation with numerous individuals, and we started counting down on the cabinet as far as how many individuals we would really need to kind of replace or impeach.
Ryan, DeBoss.
Right, and we're about like
Price.
4 or 5 deep before it actually gets to someone that's neutral party that would then be worthwhile for us to really get expressive about what we need to fix in there. You know what I mean? He has his whole crew, like he's really protected right now.
No, he's deep.
Yeah, and somebody was telling me, what about the fact that, maybe Trump was paid off by Pence so that Pence would be able to be on the cabinet with the plan that Trump would ultimately be impeached, so that he would actually be the one that would be the face of our government. But because he's not very, approachable, Trump has a bigger presence.
He's not charismatic.
It was all like a whole kind of scheme. So there's all kinds of conspiracy going on.
I can see if it was maybe not Pence just himself, but the whole Republican Party.
Right. Yeah.
But also, you ever notice that whole administration looks like the character list off of an Agatha Christie novel? Like it looked like some like whodunit type of shit, don't it? Think about
that picture when
They're
they
definitely all characters. That's for
which
sure.
announcement was that when it was just when they like took away healthcare for women, it was just a whole bunch of white dudes just standing there.
Yeah, like it was
crazy.
We fucked
like,
up all the youth. They gonna be all good. Everybody getting HPV up in this.
Oh no.
HPV.
No, but also Pence, weird as shit. Like I heard about this story where a couple congressmen were over at his house for dinner, and so his wife was cooking it, and so Pence was like, "Mother, what's for dinner?"
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think anybody calling your wife
of tea, maybe.
mother, and you're in office should be a thing.
I guess.
I don't know. He probably got mommy issues. That's okay. We'll figure it out.
Oh, I'm sure he has a lot more issues than just mommy issues. Oh, yeah. I'm sure he probably got daddy issues too. You know? All kinds of stuff. But this is gonna be an interesting development. I can't wait for next season, like I said before.
Next season.
But also in other news, your boy, Mr. Liberal, Mr. Atheist Left Wing, Bill Maher got into a lot of hot water for making a comment with a Nebraska congressman who was on the show with Real Time.
Yeah.
Who
called himself a house nigga.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So the way it goes, the congressman made a joke about having him come out and work out in the fields or something, but then Bill Maher responded, "But I'm a congressman, I'm a house nigga," as a joke. Which
sure.
I mean,
we've all said it.
Yeah.
You know?
As a black man, should a guy with prominence on TV be saying house nigga like that? No, but he's also a comedian, so I'm like, look like you're having a tough set.
Right.
So,
right. He's being real too. You know, like I mean. It would be a whole different thing if he wasn't a person of color making that type of comment. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, as soon as they have an opportunity to say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you would do this and you're a man of color, it's a whole issue. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if it was a white gentleman stepping in.
No, Bill Maher's
a white
guy. White.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, wow.
Now he sleeps with a lot of black women.
Oh, Lord.
So does he get a pass with that?
So he might be a little.
He did used to date Superhead. So does he get a pass? No.
Hey man, he might have the Mandingo, man. You never know. He might have the Mandingo. Yeah.
Giving him that Thomas Jefferson slang. You know
Right.
what I'm
That's
saying?
exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Hey man. Who knows? No, I mean honestly, for me, like you just can't say that. You're just done. Like you just can't do it.
Did that.
Not house.
And there's really nothing past that. Like he was, even when Ice Cube was trying to help him understand, like you could see on his face, he was just like, okay, can we just get past this? Like I said, I'm sorry. But I mean, that's just how it is. So that's why you can't say it, because you actually don't give a fuck about why it is the way it is with us.
Yeah, why it means so much.
Yeah.
But also, I like what Ice Cube was doing, which not even just to make Bill aware. Also, it set a precedent that the next motherfucker better not say no shit like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You definitely getting your show pulled in.
Yes.
Like he got lucky because he was on HBO. They can get away with a lot of
You
racist
can
stuff.
say a lot of stuff on HBO.
But I tell you one person that was definitely happy that all that happened, and that was Kathy Griffin. Because her ass was saw that like, woo!
Oh yeah. Take some of the heat off of her.
Over her, absolutely.
But see where were those same people that are mad at her when Sarah Palin was putting targets on Obama's face, and like when they was hanging them from ropes?
Right.
Like,
That's
I
what
have
really made me
tons
mad.
of photos from people hanging Obama puppets from
bloody
nooses,
masks, all kinds of
bloody
stuff.
masks,
But as
all
soon
that
as it was
stuff,
Trump,
man.
it was a big deal.
So that's why I can't, like, they have to miss me with that.
Yeah.
Like, miss me with your outrage, because you weren't mad when that was happening.
Well, it's selective, obviously. Well, it's that group that are famous for being like, oh, but that's different.
No, I'm talking about I'll just say it, the white liberals that are like, oh, we can't, stoop to their level. We can't do this stuff. Nah, man, y'all weren't calling it out when it was happening to our people. So, like, why are you upset now? Like, let it go. Let it go, man. Like, look, she did it and whatever.
She apologized. She lost the show with Anderson Cooper on New Year's, which I'm sure he was happy about, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But
maybe he'll get Megyn Kelly.
no, I hope not. No.
He'll probably be happy about that.
Or
the guy from what's that? Oh, I can't think of him. You know what I'm talking about. The white rapper. Malcolm Moore. Maybe Malcolm Moore.
Malcolm Moore?
There we go.
He'll be real happy about
that.
that.
He'll just be real apologetic about a lot of
real
things.
happy about that. Yeah.
And then the last bit of news, something that I've been waiting on definitely since I was a kid, but since these movies have been coming about for years, we're finally getting a Black Panther movie, and the teaser trailer
Really?
dropped the other day.
Oh,
Have you not seen
great.
the teaser?
Stephanie,
I haven't-
you don't
come
look
on.
at any social media, do you?
Look, I'm too busy trying to take some photos. Okay, come on. Go back to work.
It looks
well,
fantastic.
that's what my assistants are for.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Wow, this guy got assistants. Wow, you really moving up. Sedity, okay.
That's great. When's the movie launch?
It comes out in February
Okay,
of
cool.
2018.
I'll be seeing that for sure.
Written,
then.
directed by Ryan Coogler, who did Fruitvale Station and Creed. Oh my God, the cast is amazing.
Yeah?
You
If
seen
you
the
a black
trailer?
actor,
That trailer is
Oh, it was
ridiculous.
So everyone that's anyone is in there?
Everybody.
Oh,
I'm in it, and I didn't even apply to be in it. I was like, all right, cool. But yeah, you got Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther, Michael B. Jordan as one of the villains in it going against them. It's pretty cool. He got like a little top fluey thing, like a little tree. You know how The Weeknd had his hair? He kind of had that for a little bit. But your girl Michonne from Walking Dead is in
Oh,
it.
of course she is.
Academy Award winner Lupita Nyong'o.
Oh, that's gonna be great with her. What role is she playing? Do you know?
She's like she's one of his guards, but I think she's
Okay.
also a love interest. Angela Bassett's in it, and Forrest Whitaker, which I did not realize.
Good. That's gonna be fantastic.
Oh man, it's gonna be.
can't wait to see that.
I need to buy my ticket now. Actually,
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. I'm ready to pre-order the DVD already.
but I love it because it's also now Marvel stepping into a very diverse demographic that they honestly should. Well, they kind of hit with Luke Cage on the Netflix show, but I think this will have a way bigger impact.
Probably.
Yeah.
It'll also be great for kids, so they're gonna have a black superhero to grow up with, and that'd be Black Batman or Black Red Power Ranger or any other childhood Halloween costume that I had.
Yeah. Hey, the Black Power Ranger was cool, man. I don't know. Zach,
Yeah,
he was cool.
with them,
Come on, you
with
can't
them-
get it. You can't.
with them hammer pants.
Come on, man. In the box.
Why was he breakdancing for his intro thing? Remember that? In the box.
Because that's what black people do in battle, man.
Right.
Oh, the
Yeah.
early 90s.
Like, oh, that's a battle? Break it down?
Oh, let's get it.
Oh my gosh.
Is he DJing it or something? All right, but let's get to you guys, though. So, how did you get started in media?
Man, how do I get started in media? If I'm gonna go back, man, I was a sophomore in high school in a freaking drafting class. I was gonna be an engineer.
Damn,
And
drafting
this-
class. What, you go to art school?
No, you have to draft to be an engineer. You have to be able to draw out the sketches, right?
Uh-huh.
To the blueprints, and the teacher always goes back to this. The teacher was racist as hell. Like, it was an old white guy, and he gave shit to all the black dudes in that class, like, just all the time. And I'm a person that I'm not able to just absorb stuff. Like, I feel it too hard, so I either explode or have to remove myself. So one day I just literally just got up, walked out to class, and I heard some music going. And I've always been like a musical person. I played in the bands and all this stuff, but I never knew how to make money off of it. Walked into this classroom. They had keyboards, piano, keyboards, computers, all this stuff. Saw Pro Tools. I was like, yo, how do I get in this class? So did that. Dude heard one of my beats. I played one of my beats from my barber, and I got an internship, and I've been in it ever since.
Wow. Wait, where'd you intern at?
Yo, I've interned everywhere. But I was in North Carolina, so that was in North Carolina. That was my first time. I was like 16. I was in this guy's basement, and it was actually super dope because it was Fantasia had just won American Idol.
Classic
And
moment.
so
I
we were the
broke my
only
shoe.
studio in Greensboro, North Carolina. So her family would come there. So I got to record Fantasia and her whole family, and like learning how to engineer rap with like Mobb Deep because he knew the dude from playing basketball.
Say, whoa.
Yeah.
You working with Mobb Deep?
Yeah. I didn't even know. Like, I was so naive because all we listened to is like Earth, Wind, and Fire. My parents didn't let me listen to no rap.
Yeah, like
So I didn't even know who was in there, you know? And he was like, yo, man, what's wrong with you, man? This is my thing. You gotta act right.
Yeah,
And I
Queens,
was like,
nigga.
nah, man, you gotta do it. Because you know me, I'm like, rules. It's like, hey, man, you can't really be touching on the microphone, man. Hey, man, you can't really. He's like, hey, what you doing, man? That's my thing. You can't be saying that. I'm like, who's my deep, man? I don't-
Prodigy. What?
Exactly. So, yeah, that's how I got my start, man. And just hanging out with these dudes. All these dudes did was play piano, play drums, record music. And that's all I did for 2 years before going to college. And that's how I got into it.
So you get into college.
Yeah.
where do you go from there? You start taking more art classes, or you kind of just like half there taking your core classes and you hustling on the side doing sessions?
Yeah, well, actually, so I went to this school called Appalachian State. It's in Boone, North Carolina. Go Mountaineers. And we had a.
How do you mascot that?
It's called Yosef. He's like a mountain man. He's got a hat, big old beard,
Nice.
Some Grizzly Adams
like
type
plaid shirt and
He's a lumberjack.
overalls. Yeah,
So a hipster?
Yeah, I guess you would call him that now. I know what a hipster was before freaking.
Right.
It's a proto hipster. Huh?
Proto hipster.
I wonder if
It's like
they've
I was
updated
a
this
mountain
look for
man
the students
before it
now.
was cool.
Right.
Yeah, man. So, but they had the only. I went to this school because they had the only freaking recording program that was worth anything in the state. And I got there. I was playing football on the team, and like trying to balance that and working in the studio, and it wasn't really working out. So I just like dropped the football and just stuck to the studio because I was like, I'm probably not going to go to the NFL.
Right.
Like I gotta
Came
get
to that
on my
realization.
work, you know. And yo, it was great, man. Because in the mountains, there was me and this dude named Michael Martin, and he actually lives here in Atlanta. He's dope rapper, dope musician. We were the only two black kids in the whole program. And so I was out there playing recording banjos and like cello, pluck bass, and it was crazy. We were making bluegrass music, and it was phenomenal. My first 2 albums I ever did were like alt rock albums, and they were freaking great, man. So did that, and then came to Atlanta after I graduated. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
came to Atlanta. What's up?
what made you move to Atlanta?
Capriccio Skates. He used to be over CSAC. And I don't know which he works for some label now, but he used to run CSAC. He used to sign writers and that stuff. And he heard some of my songs, and he was like, "Hey man, you come to Atlanta, like we'll take care of you." So I came to Atlanta, and
Atlanta, Georgia, big city,
big
bright lights.
city.
Hey, brother, run
Bright
this over across the street
lights.
for me real quick. So to you, Stephanie, how did you get started with photography?
I was the kid with the creative bone always drawn on the walls. My parents were like, we can't be having this. So they
You're
threw
back
me
from
into
property
private
farm.
art classes after school kind of thing. Just nothing fancy, just like in this woman's garage, you know, all of the outcast kids that couldn't keep their minds straight. So I always kind of had that bone. My mother and my father fed it. I was always encouraged to just go with my passion. And you know, I'd be chasing sunsets and dragging little boys and girls from my school out to the beach to do their portraits and this, that, and the other. And then I went to Old Dominion University to get my undergrad degree in Virginia. And I was actually doing graphic design because everyone's like, you know, you can't make money doing photography, blah, blah, blah. Like, what are you going to do? Be a wedding photographer? And I didn't understand what a commercial photographer was at that point. So I was like, okay, if I want to do something creative, I'm going to end up in graphic design. So that's what I started with. Ended up hating graphic design,
Yeah, I can
wanting
see
to
that.
like kill myself, hated graphic design. And then it just didn't work out logistically as far as graduation. Like they weren't giving us the classes that we needed. It was like a whole thing. I kind of had my moment where I was, you know, leading this body of graphic design students that weren't going to graduate on time because of the way the school had kind of put one over on us. And we had like a whole petition, a whole thing, this, that, and the other.
You got your Angela Davis on.
Yeah, I
Okay.
had my moment. I was always kind of the one causing a little ruckus. And so we ended up not being able to get the classes, but a lot of the students that did it with me, we ended up swapping career paths. And at that point, I was already kind of battling with, like, why am I fighting for graphic design when it's not something that I feel very connected
I don't
to?
even like this
right,
shit.
Right. I was like, I'm trying to get out to school. They're trying to keep me longer. You know, so I was getting upset. So at that point, I was, I think, a junior in college. And I ran into my photography professor because I had just taken it as an elective class. And she was like, you know, Steph, like, you've kind of got, like, a specific eye. Like, you know what's going on here, this, that, and the other. Why aren't you doing it? And she kind of nurtured me getting back into photography. So I swapped my major and dropped graphic design. finished the last 2 years of that program out with photo, and it was more like fine art, which is cool because I have a very conceptual understanding that I think feeds into my artwork nowadays and into my commercial work nowadays. And then the graphic design also plays in as far as layouts and things like that, thinking about when people need to make ads as far as how to leave negative space for that type of work. So graduated from there, and then I ended up in Atlanta by that same professor kind of becoming my mentor, who was an alumni of SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design. And when I graduated, I was like, I don't know what to do now, like this, that, and the other. I've got these tools. And let me tell you, I thought I was hot shit coming out of that school. I was like, I'm a photographer. And then I was like, I need to go somewhere creative, just because the part of Virginia I was in was not for the creatives. It was like Southern Virginia, like one road, kind of honky-ponky.
Yeah, there's plenty of places in Virginia that like that.
Right, exactly.
And the DMV, period.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I ended up saying, you know what, I'm going to go to Atlanta because it is a place for creatives that are trying to establish themselves either way. And I was looking at forensics photography for a minute just to get myself started as far as something to... Yeah, I know. Weird, right?
Yeah.
And then I had applied to a couple universities for grad programs. And while I had, like, basically the same week that I got the job for Fulton County forensics team, I also got accepted into SCAD. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to go to SCAD. And I went there for 2.5 years, got my master's degree in photo. And since then, that was 2015. And since then, I've been doing the freelance thing, self-employed, and making it work.
Wow. So you could have almost been up working for the police, huh?
It would have been something, yeah. It was very interesting. And I mean, you know, this gentleman that showed me everything, it was really under the radar. Like, we probably shouldn't have done this, but I'm going to keep that disclosed.
Was he dirty? What?
Well, no.
Oh.
He wasn't. No, not like that. I just mean, you know, I saw a lot that normal people that are coming in for interview don't see. And I spoke a lot with his team about how to kind of mentally cope with the things that I was seeing. And so I'm glad that I ended up at SCAD instead of doing that job, because that's heavy stuff. I mean, you're talking about people that are rolling in onto the beds after, you know, the football games and all the games and crazy nights out in Atlanta. So, yeah, I'm happy where I am instead of there.
Probably. So that's a good thing that you went there. Wait,
so
how did you two meet then?
Funny enough.
Sounds like a good story.
How long ago was that?
It was last January. So
Was
a
it?
year and
Was
a
it?
half. Yeah.
Okay, so it was only a year and a half. I feel like I've known you forever. My brother had given me a gift for graduating on a cruise, like going on a cruise for a graduation gift. And he was on the cruise as well.
Yeah, my girlfriend got me that.
And we were there with our significant others, and it was January, so it was like retiree time, you know, like lots of applesauce, lots of foot therapy classes, and lots of, you know, really funny things like seminars that like we were so bored at. And so anyways, we ended up all going on to what were we doing?
It was an excursion off Freeport. An excursion.
Yeah,
we
to
went
go snorkeling, right?
Snorkeling at Dead Man's Reef.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so good.
And we just happened to have a real cool...
Sound like some white people shit, I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, man, we was
Sound like
holding
something
sea
Blake Lively
turtles.
would
We was
not
playing
come
with
back
the
from.
sharks,
Literally
man.
pulling sea turtles out
Anything
of the
with dead
ocean.
man in it, I don't need to be going to.
Yeah, it was great.
No, it was real chill, man, because there was definitely... like, we had a real cool brother that was, like, leading our tour, like, our bus or whatever, right? And he wanted
She just
to
went straight 80s. Real cool brother.
Whatever, man. You see my get-up's real 90s right now, too. I'll take it back. And so, anyways, he was, you know, calling people out on the bus, like, where are you from? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And we were like, okay, next. Board. Next. Who's that? Who's back there? And then he started talking. I turned my head, and I was like, from Atlanta, does videography. Who's this guy? And so then we kind of just kicked it off from there and had too much fun on the boat the last couple of days and just been in touch since.
Have you ever played beer pong on a moving boat?
Hell no. I can barely play it now.
Everybody hates
Them
it.
college days behind me.
Right into the ocean. Bye ball. I was like snagging balls from like kids playing ping pong and stuff. I was like, I need that. I'm confiscating.
This is more important. Trust me. You understand when you're older
We
kid.
turned that boat out though, man.
We did.
We got
Every
all
senior citizen
We found
hated us.
all the young people and we went crazy.
We had people that were on the boat for like company sponsored events or whatever, and their bosses were paying, and their bosses were coming upstairs buying us like tubs of booze, like, oh, I'm so bored, like, thank you, like, let's play. And so
Let's do some Jaeger, guys.
like, not even kidding, it was
great.
a very fun time.
Amazing.
Sounds like a trip that I would not come back from because that'd be
Right. So either way, when we got back in town, we kind of split and did our own thing or whatever, and kind of had this idea of we need to get together and just meet up and see what's going on.
Atlanta style. So we didn't talk again for a year.
For a while.
At least the minimum of a year.
And then I guess.
Oh, I've been busy.
Right.
Oh, no, we just been watching Netflix for a year.
Right.
Hey man, Orange is
Catching
back.
up.
Is it back, man?
Right, exactly. I know. It's like, I need to go watch that right now.
Yeah, no, I gotta finish it.
But how did we end up finally getting back in touch? We started talking about the nonprofit stuff, or were we talking before that?
We got back in touch by, I don't remember, honestly.
I
I think we
don't know.
ran into each other again.
Sounds about right. Sounds very Atlantic.
I think that's what happened.
But then I think for me, the changing point was.
I know.
What?
Ak.
Yeah.
He had his project and I shot his project. That's how we got back.
My significant other is a fine artist as well. And he was like, I want to do this video. I want to do it up right. And I was like, yo, you should hit up the people that we met on the boat, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, okay. So he commissioned him to do that job. It turned out fantastic. I looked at the video and I was like, whoa, this guy's doing something like really solid. And so I, hit him a message and I was like, hey, like, just wanted to say thank you for all the effort you put into it. I think it looks great. Like, we should really do something together. And then, naturally, we went out for drinks and kind of started brainstorming about different projects that we could kind of take over the world together on.
Over the world. Had to take over the world.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic thing that y'all found partners that click so well together.
Yeah.
It's a blessing for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm glad I just found mine at the Net Podcast Network. So it's a question for both of y'all. Who were some of y'all influences growing up? Like, who did you guys look up to as, like, not just say role models, but like people that you feel like you should go along that path, or that inspired you?
You want to go first?
For me, growing up, it was always people that were directly in front of myself, like people that I knew that weren't necessarily creative or whatever the case was. But for instance, I was a volleyball player and I did Junior Olympics growing up, and all of my coaches were very badass. Like, I don't care what your religious preference is, you're going to be at practice on Sunday, which is like the thing that you're not supposed to do and whatever. So they taught me, structure and how to really kind of be on top of the game and things like that. So I looked up to those types of individuals. My mother was a creative, and my brother was also a creative. They took different paths in life, but I definitely always appreciated them being able to understand and encourage and teach me elements, as far as even if it was just pen on paper, like looking at things compositionally, being able to figure out stuff like that. It wasn't until I got into grad school here in Atlanta where I really started saying, like, this photographer influences me, or this commercial person, or whatever the case was. So then I started looking at photographers like Jill Greenberg, and of course classics like Ansel Adams, and things like that, because I was into fashion. I knew I liked commercial lighting, and I knew that I liked the bigger picture type of work that was being created as far as puns and advertising and things like that. But I always really appreciated more conceptual storyline, which is what got me into the fine art side of things. So I have a lot of influences that are doing social political work in the area, and then people that I find their sports and advertising work extremely interesting. So for me, it was a compilation of all these different people coming together to help me create the type of work that I do now.
Damn, that was deep.
Yeah, that's super dope. Yeah,
I don't think you can top that one.
I don't think so. I think maybe I should have
went first. You should have definitely went first.
Dang. Well, I mean, for me, honestly, my biggest influence was my father. In the neighborhoods, kind of where we were growing up, you know how it is. Like, sometimes people just don't have their dad around. So it was like, my dad was always the dude that was like, nah, man, this is what it means to be a man. This is what it means to follow through. This is what it means to get it done. Like, I remember you be out there cutting grass and like thunderstorms and stuff. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah,
I
I don't think you're supposed to survive that.
I don't think he's supposed to survive, but he survived, So like that gave me between that and my mom just always being just the strong person she is, like that gave me my foundation of I can actually do anything in the world that I want to do. And like to this day, there's not one thing you can tell me that I can't do other than probably run a sub 440. Like I probably can't do that. But like outside of that, I believe I can do it. And I have proven over the course of my 30 years that I can do whatever I want to do. And as far as creative goes, like I'm a consumer of the world, man. Like I don't have. I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, and
Oh damn! I'm sorry, man. You had no birthdays.
not until I was like 17.
Dang.
But
Missed out on all the good.
the
cake.
thing about that,
I know, right?
the thing about that got me was they don't believe in like hero worship, any idol worship. So that's like anything. So
Which is
like-
fucked up because Prince was a Jehovah's Witness too, and he's like one of the arguably one of the
biggest
best
idols,
of all time.
exactly. So the thing was, so like that never came into my psyche of like, oh, like this person is so great, or oh, but I can see the work and I know when good work is there, and like I look up to that. Like I like this great work. Like I want to replicate things like that. I want to be a person that can create things at this level.
So you looked up more to the artwork itself and not the artist.
Yes, exactly.
That's dope. That's really, really dope. So you finished college, you come to Atlanta. Well, you worked in New York, am I right?
Well, I did Atlanta first, so I was in Atlanta right after college, and I did 4 years in Atlanta. Interning, I was an assistant, I was on sets, I was doing everything.
So wait, let me ask you this. What's the shittiest gig that you had to do? Let me ask you that too, after that.
Oh no.
Okay, Joe, man, you know I love you like a second dad. You cool, man. But it's messed up. Like this dude had me out there picking up his dog shit. I was his intern. Yeah, man, picking up his dog shit. I was trimming his hedges in this Georgia heat. Trimming hedges, man.
Not
for a
As an
recording
intern?
studio. Yeah.
Oh, nigga, you was a slave. That was
Exactly. You kidding
start
me,
humming
man?
spirituals and all that.
No, I ain't gonna lie, man. I learned a lot of stuff. I learned a lot of great freaking stuff, man. But that was a lot. That was
How many times a day did he whip you?
Stop.
with his whack with the whack rappers that came through? He whipped me a lot.
No.
He whacked me a lot. There were times where like I would run out the studio like, dude, I think my ears are bleeding. Like, can you check? I just can't hear. Like between the bass crushing, he had the most ridiculous studio I've ever seen. He built it specifically for Atlanta rappers. He put he had these 18-inch JBLs. He had 4 of them, subs. So not only did he have his big main monitors, tannoids, he had these subs spaced all through the room, and all you would hear just like that's all you got the whole session. Like it'd be like, hey man, this mix is, you know, it's a little. I'm like, yeah man, because I can't hear nothing else in the session, man. So yeah, that was an adventure, man. But that cut my teeth, man. That whole 3-4 years with him, like that really made me a great engineer.
That sounds like a hell of a motivator, because I'd be goddamn if I'm gonna be clipping somebody else's hedges. I didn't clip my own hedges. So I definitely ain't doing somebody else's. What about you, Stephanie?
Well, alongside doing, you know, my own photography and work like that, I also do production and photo assisting and working on a lot of sets. And I've been fortunate enough where I haven't had too many sour encounters, but there's definitely been a few where I was like, come on, like, I have a master's degree. Like, how am I the one outside in the rain right now
Why am
picking
I
up
here?
twigs for your set, you know, getting yelled at by the stylist because her assistant doesn't want to do something or whatever the case is. So what I kind of do, which sometimes I go home and beat myself up about, is always try to make that extra step to like help out whoever needs help on set. So doing that, sometimes you're like, oh, crap, did I really mean to commit to this? You know, I did have this one job that called me and was like, hey, doing this big shoot coming through Atlanta, we need a PA. And I was like, all right, cool, I'm not booked, I can make that happen, or whatever the case is. And the job, she wasn't trying to pay me a lot on either. Let's put that out there first. She wanted me to take a bucket of water and stand by the bathroom because their toilets were broken. So every time someone would use the bathroom, I would have to go fill up the toilet with like fresh water. And I was like, oh my God, like this is the first time you're calling me. Like I really don't want to be rude. Like I want to come help out because, you know, everyone knows each other in this community. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is what I have to go work to do and do tomorrow. Thankfully, some other job called me. So I was like, sorry, I really can't do that. But that would have been a nightmare for sure. I was like, I'm not trying to be someone's like, toilet filler cleaner person.
There's not
like,
enough Renewsit in the world to do that job.
No, there's not.
Come on, man. I was
Not
like,
at all.
how is this something that you're really trying to even get someone to do? Get a porta potty. Like, you know what I mean? Rent something. Like, no.
Yeah.
Made me mad.
disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
The hell? Call a plumber. What?
Right.
Why wasn't that the first move?
Thank you.
I don't know, man. That's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
You photo folks are weird.
Look, I didn't do it. I feel bad for whoever ended up getting that job, but
Super weird.
yeah.
Oh, wow. So, what is? So how'd you end up in New York?
Man, I was working at Doppler. Everything was great. I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be wonderful. And my daggone transmission blew out in my car. And you know how Atlanta is. When you, so it's like, really, I had just gotten the job, and so I was still broke from interning all over the place and all this crap. And like, can't really call your folks and be like, hey, can I get a new car? And my girl was like, what you gonna do? And I was like, I guess I'm gonna, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. And then a friend called. He's like, hey, I know it's like far, but like, this company I'm working for, they need another sound engineer. I was like, oh yeah, that'd be great. It's perfect. It's like, yeah, but it's in New York. I was like, oh. I was like, well, I ain't got a car no way. So, gone. Like 2 weeks, within 2 weeks of that call, I was in New York.
Went to New York City.
Just like, screw it.
Big city.
Just
Bright
like,
lights.
screw it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So-
I was, yeah, never mind. Go ahead. You got it.
Huh?
You got
No,
it.
I was gonna say. So when you first got there, after you stuck around, you just kept getting more job offers.
Yeah. So I actually stayed, that company that I joined, I stayed with them for the entirety of my stay of New York as like my main job, but I was taking freelance jobs as a sound designer, and then like through that I got these other freelance jobs as like helping to write the copy and helping to produce, and then at my main job I got promoted as a project manager, and I started overseeing a lot of videos, and then like just bouncing back and forth. So like on my main job I would use all my vacation days to do freelance work, you know what I mean? So I was just working literally every day back and forth, and I landed some really huge campaigns that way, and like that's pretty much what took me up.
Go ahead and stun on us and name drop.
Oh, no.
Campaign.
So that whole Bud Light Superstition campaign for the NFL, I did it. Sound design, copywriting, post editing. Lay's potato, you've probably seen it. They still run the commercials. Mr. Potato Head commercials, where they're like, "Oh, but you're a potato." Yeah, like I'm the dude that's like crunching the chip. Oh, that was you? Yeah, you know what I mean? No, like I help with this development of the storyline and that stuff. And like just a lot of national brands. I really got to work with a lot of national brands. I got to work with Disney, Nissan. Who else? This is just a ton of people. And I got to work with freaking Forbes, Steve Forbes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve Forbes, Andy Cohen. Steve Forbes was probably the best because he like really helped me get my money situation right. He was like, look, now this is what you need to be investing in, sir. You do this and you do this and then you're going to be fine and then you'll be wealthy. And I was like, oh, great. And I listened and it worked.
Yes,
Nice.
Mr. Forbes.
Yes, Mr. Forbes.
He seems like that level of rich where he just has somebody who walks around and get whatever he needs. Like, boy, get me that.
He does it though. That's the crazy. He's like super down to earth. He's like this. I mean, of course, he's still like a Republican and he's whatever, but he's like a chill dude. You know what I mean?
He kind of seems like one of those rich people who like hunts men for sport on a private island.
He might, but he's a very down to earth man that hunts other men. You know what I mean?
As long as you're one not being hunted.
Yeah. Whatever, I can shoot. I'll get him right back.
Okay.
I'm gonna
All right.
run. Shit, you can get my ass. I seen Get Out. I know how this ends.
Hey, yeah, man.
So what about you, Steph? What big clients and jobs whatever that you worked with?
I've worked all over the place. Atlanta's been, the main spot. I didn't travel to New York and all those things like he has. But, Coca-Cola, of course. I work for Turner doing some retouching things. So that, like, E-League, which is, like, their video game, like, competition where the kids get paid to do the different gaming
Play
and stuff.
Call of Duty and stuff like that.
Yeah, all those various games. Different various fashion campaigns that come through. A couple of, what's that guy's name? A couple of different rappers that have come in town that they need new album covers, like gospel singers, just various individuals more so than larger company names
Than
like
brands.
Lay's.
Yeah.
Right.
Dope. That's even doper though. But so what's the thing that drove you back to coming to Atlanta?
Drove me back. I hated actually living in the city. I was walking to work in like a foot of snow. Like you gotta walk to work, and it's just deep.
Yeah, you gotta go to the bodega and
You gotta go to the bodega.
get you a beef patty. And
Actually,
some
the
socks.
food is way cheaper in New York, which is
Yeah?
crazy. Yeah, it's actually cheaper to eat there. But yeah, just like the city life. In the winter, you got the snow. In the summer, you got the spunk. Like it just, the whole city just stinks. And it's tired. It drags on you. I could start seeing the city miles, like what Will Smith said to old dude in Men in Black. He was like, "Oh, city miles."
Oh yeah.
So I could see it. So my girlfriend, she got a job at Emory, and I was like, "Yo, it's perfect time. Let's just go." And we went, and I didn't want to work for. Well, that's not true. I wanted to work for people, and the whole point I thought of like getting New York. I got the cred behind my name now and all this stuff. Like, it'd be easy to get a job, and, like, nobody would hire me still. So I just, like, screw it. I'll just do it on my own.
Hey, nothing like that entrepreneur independent
great.
spirit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what's the most, for you, what's your favorite place that you've traveled to work?
Traveled to work, Australia.
Really?
Yeah, I
What was
just
that
got
like?
back from Australia in April, and that was really cool. I was actually supposed to be doing like a fashion campaign out there. Some things kind of fell through. Ended up still shooting and doing more like documentary and doing a fashion shoot on the beach. But the product's sitting on my desk right now here, and I'm creating this really cool campaign for the end of this month to come out. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm going to combine fashion with like sports photography to kind of rep this Australian underwear campaign that's going to be about the new alpha strong kind of female.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, going to Australia was really awesome. I was there for 7 days on the ground.
Wow.
Getting there is a nightmare,
Yeah,
but
sounds
being there was real cool.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Man, that's fantastic. Oh, man. So what are, this is for both of y'all, what are, like, some of the difficulties that you guys face with being independent and having your own company?
For one, not having coworkers.
Yes.
It gets lonely
Oh,
sometimes. You're at
man.
home, like, you start talking to your lamp and your dog. You're like, I need a friend.
Yes, that's why I'm glad I met Stephanie.
No,
Thank
but
you.
challenges of being an individual versus working for a company, you know, just making sure that you are able to balance out everything. Because I think a lot of individuals that aren't self-employed don't quite grasp the multiple hats that you kind of got to wear as far as being your financial department, being your HR, being your post-production, being the booking manager, like all these different things.
Being legal.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And then figuring out the proper way to conduct business and all of those different elements. You know what I mean? So that can be really challenging, and I think that's an ongoing process of learning. So there's a lot of sleep deprivation that happens because of that. And I've watched this man kind of fall completely to the ground from that. So I can only imagine, you know, sitting and I do a lot of post-production, and there's a whole lot of staring in front of a screen, you know. So same thing for him. I can only imagine sitting there tweaking audio and making sure everything lines up.
Yeah.
And it's just endless hours, that's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Watching
Never
the
done.
same clip 1,000 times
Mm-hmm.
because they just wouldn't do what you said when you were shooting. And now you have to do After Effects. Oh man,
Oh,
it's
Lord.
crazy. Yeah. For me, honestly, it's like it really is the grind. Like last week, I was supposed to go on this fishing trip vacation, and I went, but I had to bring my iMac with me. You know what I mean? Like I had to work when I wasn't around everybody, and like I didn't get any sleep. I think like they were making fun of me in the car. They're like, "Yo, why do you fall asleep? Like every time we just chill for a second." It's because I don't get any sleep, man. Like
calling you Abe Simpson.
I get no sleep. Yeah, he did call me Abe Simpson, man. And I guess that's just how it is. Like even this weekend, my little cousin, who is like a sister to me, because we kind of helped raise her. She graduated from high school yesterday. Shout out LaShawn, the class of
Congrats.
what,
2017?
17.
Yeah.
And my little brother's birthday was yesterday. He just turned 26.
Wow.
And I was supposed to go back to North Carolina to like be a part of the celebration, all this stuff. And like I had a client who I was trying to like locked them down, and like they were only available yesterday.
Damn.
And the fact that they were available yesterday got me the meeting. Like me making myself available got me the meeting today to lock that client in. And now like we're good.
Oh, congrats.
You know what I mean? Thank you. But like it takes all that sacrifice.
Right.
Right? So like, and it's definitely a strain on the relationships and stuff like that because they don't see it. Like
that's true.
If you have a job, like when you leave at 6 or 5 or whenever you leave, you've left.
You done.
Like I don't get to leave.
Right.
Like, I got to bring my computer to the office. I got to have my computer at home. I got to.
And I've also ran into like sometimes clients don't really appreciate the fact that you got to sleep too. Like they'll be blowing me up through the night, like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I'm like, bruh, come on, like let me get a couple hours of sleep. I will answer all your questions first thing in the morning. Like if that's what we got to do, but you got to like. I have to actually turn my phone off sometimes because it's just going.
And they get mad. They're like, yo, why didn't you get back to me right away? It's like, bruh, I got other people. I can't. You're first of all, you want to be cheap, like because everybody in Atlanta wants to be cheap. I don't know.
They want to ball, but they want to be cheap at the same time.
Yeah, exactly, and that's fine. Like if that's what you want, great, we can work with it. But you know, good, cheap, fast. Like pick 2. So if you're gonna be cheap, then it's not gonna be fast for you.
And don't call me after 11.
right.
Bitch, it is 5:30.
Oh my god. Like
yes.
And you want to deliver that quality customer service. So last year when I said, okay, I have my degree under my belt and I'm going to do this by myself, I was like, I just have to be available at all times. And that's when those like crappy PA jobs or whatever the case would come up. But if my own clients, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I really want to make sure I do this something really awesome for them. And I want to make sure that I'm available for them. And I want to give them as much as I can within reason. And it's for me personally, I have a hard time saying like at a certain point, you have to just say no. Like, for what you're asking for, there's this that you need to give me back as far as finances or space or whatever the case is, because it will just run you into the ground. You have to set some type of boundaries for yourself for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Or you can get an assistant, or as I like to call it, an intern. That way you don't have to pay him.
Right.
Don't say that on air.
What? No.
Delete that, please. Can you delete that part?
Allegedly, that's what you should do. Hypothetically, I was just saying.
Right.
No, but see, even with that, okay. So I've had. As a owner of a business and even as a project manager, they're basically the same thing. Like, you have people under you and you have to guide them. Employees don't do things on their own. So, like I was a special employee. Like, I would always take initiative. That's why I'm an entrepreneur. But, like, just most people just kind of coast.
Right.
So that's even more work to make sure they're on top of their stuff while you're still trying to be on top of everything else.
I think one of the most memorable gigs that I've done was, and I'm under an NDA, so I can't say too much because this company hasn't launched all their stuff yet, but I essentially was commissioned to get like a different underwear companies line up and off the ground, and they're really cool because they're kind of giving back to the community at the same time that they're, selling this really cool product. And for me, the only reason that was like such an awesome job was, one, the client was really cool. He was very committed to allowing me to have creative space. A lot of the times clients say, hey, I want to hire you to do this, but we only want you to do it this way. You know what I mean? So he gave me my creative space. He let me bring all my different influences to the table to create something unique for his brand. And my team knocked out a shit ton of work in one day. And I think that was me trying to go above and beyond for this client, but also like me being naive to the fact of how much it was going to take in the middle of summer in Atlanta, running around to like 5 or 6 or 7 locations that day to knock out literally a full campaign for them, versus what a lot of people do is break it down into like 2 days, 3 days, 4, and then all the retouching that went on top of that. So either way, we hustled a lot. We fought through a lot of, just logistics as far as travel and getting the models organized and models showing up late or whatever the case was. And we ended up making some really cool work. So I'm excited to see that launch. And that's probably my most memorable one so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for me, it's more of like memorable because of the way it made me feel. It's like, I don't know if every artist feels this way, but sometimes I always have this moment of self-doubt, or I used to have this like little self-doubt, like, okay, am I really good enough? Like, do I really know what I'm doing? Like, sometimes you feel like you're a poser, you know what I mean?
You're like, what am I doing?
Yeah, exactly. Like, am I really doing it? And like when I got to do that Bud Light campaign, at a certain point, because it was a week-long campaign, and by Thursday, like, they had to scrap a ton of stuff because one of the actors something happened with one of the actors. Anyway, they had to redo everything, but none of the executives were available, and none of some of the assistants were there, but like none of the higher up people were there. So like, I had to take charge of it, and like a lot of the ideas and a lot of the stuff that I enacted, like, made it to air. You know what I mean? And that's when I was like, no, like, for real, I have what it takes to go create a product. Like, everything that gets created in that kind of world gets shipped off to Ohio for testing. So that means I made it through the testing with my ideas.
You made it through middle of America?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Now.
So like, yeah, exactly. So that was like my aha, like, yo, you actually know what the hell you're doing. You're dope at this stuff. Like, just go for it. That was
absolutely, yeah. Nothing like taking that leap and then just believing in yourself.
Exactly.
Which, admittedly, is scary as fuck.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Golly. The stress and anxiety of it alone.
You gotta have a good support system for sure, you know, because there's inevitably going to be self-doubt, but having, you know, his significant other in mind, or family, or whatever the case is, that people say, like, you know, we believe in you specifically, go ahead and do this, make it happen, like, that's huge.
Damn, that's
you know?
what I need. Maybe I need to get a girlfriend.
Yeah. Definitely.
So you guys are first-time business entrepreneurs. What's some of the mistakes that you guys have made?
Undercharging.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All the time. I still think that I undercharge, because I'm always like, you know what? I want to go out and work. I'd rather be working than not working. But he's making me better at saying, no, Steph, like, stick to your dollar amount and do what you got to do. Because I've had a lot of meetings with individuals and professional photographers that kind of broke down this really interesting scale that, you know, when you're starting out, you have all these people, or whatever the case is, and when you raise your prices, you should lose naturally 1/3 of those individuals just from price alone, you know, and then you should have a certain amount of people that are like, okay, cool, we're going to go and grow with you, whatever the case is. But if you have too many people where you can't handle the work, it's because you're too cheap. You know what I mean? If you have no clients, it's because you're too expensive. So figuring out that margin and figuring out how to be a business person within a creative field is sometimes really challenging.
Yes. Because everybody wants everything for free.
Right.
That, yeah.
Yes. That what you said was perfect. I don't think I don't think I can elaborate on that too much better. That's great.
So it really just boils down to money.
Find
that line.
I mean, like, yeah, there's some times where I wish I handled a situation better. Like, sometimes I would let my emotional side to overtake my business side and just.
Did you flip a table? You flipped the table?
No, but I mean, I'll cuss people out and just be like, look, just forget it and just have your files. But like, I would never do that with somebody that was respecting me. You know what I mean?
I got you.
I know
You know what I mean?
did.
Like, if I would never do that to you guys. You guys are
Yeah,
great.
you're not just going to come in wilding out like Dame Dash.
Exactly.
Or something like that.
I think that there's definitely growing pains, especially, I don't know if this is true for you because you have moving pictures, but with still imagery, like when I was in Virginia still, I was working with a couple of different rappers that are actually out here now. And, you know, basically did our contracts to the best of like my understanding at that point, blah, 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 blah. But my images with a watermark got cropped and flipped and pulled from Facebook, from his Facebook, and printed in XXL magazine, which is a big no-no, you know, like you're never supposed to do that. But I guess being very tight on your contracts, being very tight on tracking where those images go, which is harder and harder, you know, nowadays with stock imagery or Google search and all that kind of stuff. But making sure that you don't play light to those instances. It's not a learning curve. It's not that it's a learning curve. It's not a thing. People always try to say this. This is what I'm trying to say. People are always like, oh, well, but it can be for your portfolio. I don't give a fuck what you say is for my portfolio. No, you need to pay me. You put this in a big magazine? I need to know where it is. You need to pay me for that. And if not, you know, like stuff like that where I was maybe softer on it before, like I'm not anymore. And so I'm very persistent about making sure that my client understands what the contracts say and that we have a very solid understanding of things like that.
Yes.
Otherwise, your car might get keyed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sound like some tires got slashed when you found out about that magazine.
I mean, I would say also, I don't know how you feel about it, Stephanie, but I know definitely earlier on when I was feeling like I was the hot shit, like it was hard for me to take creative criticism or you know what I mean, like you've worked on this thing for a week or whatever, and then you get back to the client and they're like, yeah, this is good, but maybe this, and then you're like, oh. And like in my mind, like of course now I'm just like, yeah, that's great, whatever, let's make it happen. But like initially just being like, oh, like I gotta go back through this again, and I have to like put my own ego and my own idea aside, because I'm not the one shipping it out, like it's whatever they want. You know what I mean?
So this gotta be a good one for y'all that I'm pretty sure there's tons to choose from. But what's the craziest or funny thing that happened while you were working on the set?
Various different sets. Sets are always funny. First of all, there ain't no HR. So we get some reckless people on set sometimes, which, you know, can be fun, can be a disaster. I remember I was working on this Home Depot job, and what was funny to me, because you and I know what a PA is supposed to be, this PA that got pulled in from who knows where decided that he essentially just dropped the ball the whole damn day throughout the day. And I remember at one point looking over, like on the last half of the day, my dude has his baseball cap pulled down and is like sleeping. No, you never do that on set. Like, you're getting paid to be there to work, right? You're not going to do that on any job that you're getting paid for, right? And so the client is sitting right next to them, like at the kitchen table, and he's in the living room at this house that we're working on, and he's like snoozing, and I'm like, look at this guy over here, right? And so the producer goes over and like taps him on the shoulder or whatever, pulls him out of the hall. I was like, he's getting sent home for sure. After everything else he's done, he's going home. And he was like, his line, which, you know, she was very polite about keeping around. He goes, oh, the sun was in my eyes. The sun was in my eyes. I was like, man, we saw you. You were like head dropping, like you were out.
Snoring.
You know? Yeah, exactly. The other thing was way back in the day. Like, I used to rent this studio out of Hampton, Virginia, with these two other dudes, and they, you know, would photograph their little ladies and this, that, and the other, whatever the case is. And I can't remember what exactly happened, but I was coming in for like my booked time with my models, and one of his models were coming in late or something like that, or I don't know what she was doing, but she came in, she was like, I'm here for the photo shoot, reaches in her bag, pulls out this self-pleaser, and I was like, girl, you at the wrong shoot. Like, I don't know what y'all were doing before, but take that somewhere else.
I don't think that house is zoned for that kind of film work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Holy shit.
What about you?
My funniest isn't necessarily on the set, but definitely I had a week-long session with Katt Williams when he was doing his record label thing.
Nice.
Wait, what? He was doing a record label thing?
Yeah, he had like a Cat Pack Records, man.
Is this like pre him not being able to afford a perm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before he got beat up by like 13-year-old boys and stuff?
Yeah.
Little boy.
No, but this guy, so Katt Williams is just a hilarious dude. And when he was living that life, like, he was literally a pimp. Like, he had a hole 1, hole 2. They put his shoes on. Well, hole 1 put his left shoe on. Hole 2 did his right shoe.
They were called hole 1 and hole 2?
Hole 1, hole 2.
Oh, my God.
What kind of Dr. Seuss shit is that?
So it was great. I mean, this whole week, this is one of those weeks where, because he doesn't sleep. So when we're recording, like, that meant I didn't sleep. Like, I tried to, the studio owner's son would, like, try to switch out with me. He's like, no, I don't want that nigga. I don't want that. And so I had to do all the work. And, like, there would be times where he would just play the music, and he's like, nah, just play it. Just play it. Just play it. And he, like, spin around on the floor. And he's like, great. And this was, I'm a young dude, not really experienced with the things that Katt Williams was into, you know? And
horror
I was just looking. Yeah, horror and such. And it was a great freaking week. That's all I can say. And it was hilarious. It was so fun. And like, he's a genuine, awesome dude. Man, tipped me $1,000. And then he's like, look, man, I appreciate you not quitting on me. On top of like what he was paying for.
Which means he must have gone through like hundreds of audio engineers.
He must have gone through a lot if he was giving you $1,000 as a tip.
So like it was a great, like that was definitely a super.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That sounds like some Rick James shit, right?
Yeah, right.
So let me ask y'all, since because clearly both of y'all are incredibly passionate about your craft. If something were to happen and you couldn't do what you guys do in the company anymore, or anything with art, what would you do for work?
That's really interesting that you asked me that. Do you want to start with this one, or do you want me to go?
I would be a mercenary.
Damn,
Your turn.
sounds badass.
Okay. Can you guys
No,
hear
it
me?
just cut out.
It just cut out.
Oh, we're still recording though? Okay. Just
Okay.
talk without that.
Now I'm thrown off. What were we talking about?
Oh, what
You
would
could-
Oh,
you
if
do?
I couldn't. If I could not see, what would I be doing? I would still be doing photography in some way, because when I was at SCAD, my whole thesis project was based around the concept of how does one survive and continue to be creative if they were to lose their sight. I have a really strong astigmatism. It's not degenerative or anything, but I spent like a year and a half investigating the visually impaired community, filled with individuals that were creatives. Ran into Michael Jordan's stunt double, who attempted at suicide, lost his eyesight, still kicking, this, that, and the other. Either way, my point is that they were living my biggest fear. So I did this whole project about integrating different techniques so that hopefully if that were to happen to someone that was to lose their sight, that we would still be able to be creative. So that's happened in multiple ways. Like what I personally did was I would, backlight my photography so that it was illuminated, and I learned how to do braille on top of stuff. And so I made work so that the visually impaired could come and still appreciate our art gallery. But what I learned is that there's lots of people that are still photographers that don't have their sight, and there's painters and all kinds of stuff. So it's encouraging that you could still be creative nowadays in the field that you love. You just got to think about it differently. Like some people are making photos simply by sound, and some people are doing, long exposures and painting with light as far as like as they're feeling people's faces to create portraiture.
Oh, like that Lionel Richie music video.
Right. So there's all kinds of different creative things, and while it's my biggest fear and I hope it never happens, I think I would still make a very conscious effort to be doing photography. Because it's what brings me joy, and it makes other people happy when I'm working with them. So that's what makes me tick, and I would want to be able to stay with it.
Can I just say that I really appreciate the fact that like you do photography because it's a part of you. Like there's so many photographers, quote unquote, and it's just because like, oh yeah, no, I can make a quick buck. Like I really do appreciate the fact
Like
that
you
it's
genuinely
a part of your soul.
love the art.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So you said mercenary?
Yeah.
That's it? Just cold cut, kill motherfuckers for money?
Yeah, I would.
Some gangsta ass shit.
Or
I'm
open
not
a
gonna lie.
restaurant, but probably just a mercenary thing.
Or a mercenary restaurant.
Right.
Mercenary
there we go.
restaurant.
I might join you for that one. Actually.
I'd work at that place. I'd eat there. I'd dine there.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So at the end of the day, in your opinions, is it worth striking out on your own?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I think that while there's a lot of stresses that are involved with it, as we kind of expressed earlier, when you take a step back, which he doesn't do, which you need to figure out how to do, because you're going to...
I did that.
Beach
No, I
house in
haven't done
Jamaica, my
Right,
friend.
exactly. You haven't done it. When you take a step back and say, you know what, like maybe work's not coming in today and maybe I'm stressed out about it, but I get to do literally anything I want. Like I have time to take to myself when I want to. I can go travel and see my family. I can take care of these other things because my schedule is my schedule, more or less. You know what I mean? Depending on what you have going on with your clients. I think that it's really awesome. And I think that being an entrepreneur is something that so many people are beginning to benefit from and will ultimately be the way of the world. You know, we're going to step away from these larger corporations and do stuff for ourselves because I think that people really are tired with, you know, answering, unless that's the way that they tick. Some people need a schedule and just need to say like 9 to 5, whatever. But there's a lot of individuals that want to be free from it.
Yeah.
And so just taking that really ballsy step to step out the door and say I'm doing it myself is really hard. And I battled with that a lot, like just mentally on my own. But it's totally worth it.
Shit, I have a damn near breakdown there almost every night.
Seriously.
Should I go back to school?
I was
Right.
crying last night, man.
What do you think?
I think that it is not for the faint of heart. Like
Right.
if you're afraid of risk, don't become an entrepreneur. If you don't know how to be responsible for yourself, don't be an entrepreneur.
Or for your finances. Yeah.
Or for your finance. Yeah. Like if you know in your heart that you need somebody to kind of guide you through life, you can't do this.
Yeah.
But if you have it in your heart, if you have it, I have a friend. I hope you get to interview him. His name is Joshua Jackson, Fourth Quarter Grind. He's a personal trainer, and like we talk about this kind of stuff all the time. Like the group of guys that I hang around, we all have this fire in ourselves that, like on a Sunday, we wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to make sure that we catch the right kind of light on his shoots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're not lounging around and.
Right.
And, you know, like you have to be able to have that drive and have that sense of purpose within yourself. And as long as you have that, like, sky's the limit for you.
Absolutely.
That's how I feel about that.
There's a lot of misconception, I think, where people are like, oh, I'm self-employed. I'm working from home today. No, you sitting on the couch watching Netflix, eating popcorn out your belly button. Like, you got to get up and go out into the streets and be a part of the community and come out and do things like this and get involved and let people know that you're there and let people know how excited and passionate you personally are about it so that something will stick. And that, because people want to work with cool people. You know what I mean? People don't want to be like, oh, this photographer's really an asshole. Like, I guess I'll pay him $50,000. You know, like, no, like, sure, but no. So you really gotta be humble and Kendrick Lamar, and you just gotta you gotta be into it, and you gotta surround yourself with a solid support system.
Yes.
Takes a village.
And maybe not go to school, but definitely study the business, man. Study the business, because you gotta study the business. You have to have your contracts. You have to have your paperwork. You have to have your taxes. Uncle Sam will come. He'll take everything.
Whew, I got a neighbor right now that's struggling with that. He's back in his archives like 2007 looking for receipts because he's being audited. I was like, bruh, tighten up. Man. Yeah.
You get an accountant. God damn, 2007.
Nah, man, don't get an accountant either. Like, oh, man.
Yeah, still.
Nah, man, I can't even go into it. It's a long story. It's too long a story.
Next time.
Yeah, that'll be part 2. So this will be the last question, then we need to wrap up. What are you guys' sights for the future? Because, like, I know Netflix is building the studio down the street and all that. What's the plan for Tight Def Media?
Well, I actually, there's another group called Matchbox Media that I kind of work with a little bit, and they invited me to this great organizational conference on Thursday, and everybody all the leaders of the film and production scene were there. They were all talking, got to meet a lot of people, and they were talking about that. They were talking about Netflix, and they're talking about how right now Atlanta is still the shooting hub. Like, everybody comes here to shoot, but we don't have the infrastructure to take it from zero to complete right now. So Tight Def Media is going to be a part of building that new infrastructure. That's the plan of the future. Like, I want to make sure that when you come to us, you don't need to go to anybody else. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Everything in-house.
Yeah,
If you guys need a screenwriter or anything like that, just let me know.
We will.
No,
We will
definitely.
absolutely let you know, yeah.
If honestly, like, we definitely do, because like, people don't recognize the value of stuff like that. They're like, oh yeah. Like, I got clients now that are like, oh yeah, I'll just make it up when we get there. I'm like, no, you're not gonna make it up when we get there.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna have a script and you're gonna stick to it and you're gonna learn it.
And I think that's what's really cool about you. Even from the phone call that we had earlier today, talking about a client that we're about to work with, is he was like, phase 1, we're gonna take care of this for them. Phase 2, we're gonna do this. Like, he's got it all built out where he really cares about his clients, which, hopefully you guys feel the same way about me, but I'm really hyped to be teaming up with him because of how much he does care about his clients and how much he wants to make sure that his product is well-rounded and looks really well for them so that they can succeed as much as possible. So he's killing it. Team up with this man.
Yes.
We definitely gonna talk about that after the cameras stop. After the microphone stop recording.
For me myself, I'm definitely working on more commercial campaigns, and I think that one last thing that I want to say is that you should never stop building your own portfolio. I think that a lot of photographers, and I'm guilty of it as well myself, that we get to a certain point where we're like, all right, cool, book looks good. Somebody pay me. You know what I mean? No, like, you gotta revisit that book every once in a while and say, okay, where do I want to be? What's not working? What maybe I thought was dope and is not anymore, kind of thing, and continue to build that up so that you can get the type of clients that you want. And I know that right now I'm building out some really cool stuff that I'm very excited about, and I'm excited to see what type of clients come in that are new next year and on and on and on.
That sounds fantastic. Absolutely, I completely agree. You should always be bettering yourself and pushing yourself to strive to it's like reach perfection, but because you're never going to get there.
Yeah, but you got to go for it.
Yeah, and always
Aim
keep your
for
skills
the-
honed too.
Yeah.
Just fall back on them. All right, so this has been the show, man. This has been a fantastic episode.
Oh, man.
Thank you so
Man,
much for having us.
Thank you so much for
I
coming
appreciate
through.
it. Shout out to Sierra Society, man.
Sierra!
She made it all possible.
Absolutely.
She said, "Don't put me on."
She's not hearing. Oh, she can't hear.
Oh, she can't
Oh,
hear.
okay,
That's
okay.
fine.
All right, so where can the people find you guys?
www.tidefmedia.com and at tidefmedia and all social media.
All right.
And for me, it's StephanieEleyphotography.com. My last name is spelled Eley, and my Instagram handle is cphotography, SEE photography.
Y'all be sure to go ahead and follow them and get in touch with them and hire them because I've seen some of the work already. We want to do them a research. It's pretty dope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to hear from everybody.
As always, this has been Unapologetically Candid, and we out.
Peace. 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 Peace.